Hi there, Christoph here. This is latest update on Arké, and this one is about the send view. Now, there's a lot of complexity here, but I'll just go through kind of the ideal experience that I'm kind of came up with. And then I'll later on go into some of the details. So sending sounds very straightforward. Like you type in an address, you hit send, right? Maybe and an amount, you hit send. Maybe you're a little bit anxious, make sure the address is correct. But that's also very manual, right? And it doesn't there's a lot more complexity to that, and we'll explore that a little bit. But I think so eventually the easiest way to send, and I think I've shown that before, is I go to my contacts, I hit send, I type in an amount, 2345, I hit send, relax my mind and my body for a second here, until it actually does the send. And that's kind of it, basically. Now, in this particular overlay, I think there's something missing that I'd like to add. Is so while it's sending, I think you should be able to write a note and add some text to it. So, that time is also used well. But okay, that's basically it. Very simple. And when I look at the contact, when it picks the address, it needs to show me the fee. Fee stuff is also not fully implemented in Bark yet. That will come. And it needs to make sure I have enough, the right balance here. And there's also some checking whether it's on the right network. But that's basically it, right? Hit contact. Maybe if the contact has multiple addresses, I pick a different one. That's it. The alternative then, right, the very opposite side of this is the manual input. So I type in TARK1ABC, and like for this dummy code here, this kind of validates. And then I enter the amount. And that's kind of it. So that's the super manual, but no one really does that with these cryptographic addresses. There are scenarios, and I'll show that a little bit later, where we have these human-readable addresses that basically look like an email. That is more realistic. That'll be done here. Now the complexity now really comes in because typically people they click a link with payment information, or they copy paste something over. Or they scan a QR code. Both in all three aspects, like some information is ejected into the application and it's like, okay, make sense of it. And I will go through some of those examples. So let's say, I have this address here on my clipboard, and I go back to the application. So whenever I focus back on the application and I'm in the send view, it checks the clipboard. And it says like, oh, I found an address in your clipboard, right? And it evaluates it. It figured out, is it an ARK address? ARK has super low fees. If this was a Bitcoin address, it would say maybe like, I don't know, 500 sats or whatever. And it already did match this address against my contacts, and it realized this is an address for an existing contact. So I can be more confident, that this is that this should work, that this should be correct. So I don't really have to validate it because it's an existing address that I've transacted with before. Good to know here is that ARK addresses are reusable, so no concerns there. And I just hit type in the amount, send. Cool. So that's an address only. Now, how about we have this BIP21 URI here that contains a Bitcoin address, it contains an ARK address, it contains an amount, a label, and a description. So once again, I'm copying to my clipboard, and I go back to the application. And it instantly picks it up, and it says, I found this information here. There's a label, a coffee shop, there's a message, maybe I bought this venti white, whatever, the coffee shop, and an amount to pay. It also found these two addresses. It picks the one that's best for me, right? It obviously needs to match the network. Not really a big deal once we're in mainnet. It should tell me like roughly what the fee is, and it should ensure I have enough balance against these 5,000. And it picks the best one, right? I can check out the other options, like, oh, there was also a Bitcoin address, if I want to pay that way, or maybe I don't have enough money in my ARK balance, I can use Bitcoin, and I can switch it, but I don't want to, right? Then I just hit send, right? That's very simple, like a whole payment request comes in, it presents it nicely, I hit send, done. And it intelligently evaluates the options. And then here again, this is also the same thing, but we actually have a known contact here. So once again, it detects when it's an address I already know. Let's see, here we have a BIP21 URI with just an address and an amount. That is kind of the most minimal thing for this super automated flow, like address amount. I can just hit send, right? Then here we have an amount, a huge amount. Here it says, oh no, can't send, we have insufficient balance, right? I can't send it. It's a lot, right? Here we have 2 addresses, right? In that scenario, we want to be able to choose which address and then enter a custom amount because that was not given. So you can kind of see this screen here when it detects like some payment information is coming in, it figures out what's the appropriate way to show it and makes it as easy for me as possible. And the options are, the visuals are pretty consistent that way. Here we have a single address, right? Very straightforward. Here we have a Lightning invoice. Then Lightning invoices, this one has a fixed amount, so I can't enter the amount. Amount is basically given here. Here we have a BIP21 URI with Lightning invoice, kind of the same thing. And here we have BIP353 payment instructions. I'm going to copy those over. So here, this resolved the DNS instructions in the background, which retrieves the BIP21 URI, and in there is a Lightning offer, and I can type the amount and I can send it. Cool. Then here, Matt Corallo also has one, also Lightning offer. There's actually also a Bitcoin address in those DNS payment instructions, which is not showing here, something I need to fix. And here's a Lightning address. So that one, clearly, I thought I had it working, but maybe I don't. Yeah, so there's that should be implemented. That first, whenever an email format comes in, it checks it's a BIP353 one. If not, it checks if it's there it is. It just took a second here. So it validated that it's a valid Lightning address endpoint. It kind of retrieved some JSON from there, made sure it works. So you can tell that's kind of the complexity here in all of this. We have, I can pay from a contact. I can manually enter things. I can, copy something to Clipboard. I can click a URL. I can scan a QR code. All this stuff comes in. Then we have Arké addresses, Lightning invoices, Lightning offers, Bitcoin addresses, Lightning addresses. Awesome thing is that Bark supports these out of the box. I was super impressed that all these formats they just work. And then we have, BIP21 URIs, which are kind of a combination of addresses and payment information. Then we have human-readable addresses, which then point to one of those. And then, we have to detect this, is it the right network? Is there sufficient balance? These types of things. So there's really a lot the send view kind of has to intelligently process and then display appropriate options here. Like I said, this is still kind of a work in progress, refining various things, but I thought I'd share the direction that I'm going into. I'm curious to hear what everyone thinks, and thanks again for the second team for making Bark. Like I said, I was really impressed. That was like, oh, it just supports Bolt 12. It just supports Lightning addresses. It's super cool. So let me know. Thanks.